Hey, gang, the Irish Hammer here. I said I was going to stay out of this until we got a little closer to game time, but a couple of these Syracuse people they're not going to let that happen. So let me just go ahead and lay out 5 reasons, Syracuse fan, why you're going to lose on August 30th to Tennessee. And we'll start with quarterback. No, I'm not talking about Tennessee's quarterback. I'm talking about your quarterback. You got Ricky Collins, transfer from LSU. He was a 3-star player coming out of high school. Redshirt sophomore with exactly 0 starts under his belt. In fact, he's only thrown 7 passes his entire college career. He also sat out the spring game with an injured thumb. We hear it's going to be fine come start of the season, which for your sake, I hope it is, because sitting behind him is a freshman and like a 12th year senior that clearly isn't very good. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a transfer and a freshman starting ahead of him. Which brings me to the second reason why you're not going to win, and that's Tennessee's defense. Now, make no mistake, we lost a first round NFL defensive lineman in the likes of James Pierce to the Falcons in the draft in April. But make no mistake, this is still a very elite defense, loaded with upperclassmen. Defensive line goes about 8 or 9 guys deep. And 2 names that you're going to become very familiar with are Joshua Josephs and Tyree West, because they're going to be in your backfield just about as much as your running backs. Then you've got a couple of headhunting linebackers in Jeremiah Telander and Arian Carter that are going to make life miserable for everybody that touches the football. And then our secondary got a full season under their belt, so they've got some experience, a couple upperclassmen back there, and very athletic. Now, you may get to dodge the bullet that is Jermod McCoy, who's projected to be a first round draft pick and rated the #1 cornerback in the 26 draft class, because he's still nursing an ACL. But all that means is that you'll just get a heavier dose of Boo Carter, and I assure you, it's not going to be fun. And while we're on defense, let's talk about yours for a minute, Syracuse. Wasn't that great last year? And that's playing in the ACC that had about 2 decent teams in it last year. You guys gave up about 150 yards a game on the ground, over 375 yards in the passing game, and averaged just under 30 points a game allowed. I also hear that you have a new defensive coordinator, and he's changing the scheme. So that ought to be interesting. And I hope he can coach endurance, because this offense is going to be running these guys ragged all over the field. I don't care who's playing quarterback for us. The tempo is very hard to deal with. And this 3-headed monster we've got at running back is going to be pounding, pounding, and pounding all day long. Make no mistake, this gimmick offense of Josh Heupel's, yeah, it's centered around the running game. 150 yards a game to that league, we shouldn't have any trouble putting up 300. And then we'll move to reason number 4, which is the venue. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, this is in a dome. This is what we're used to playing in. Well, 2 things about that, homie. This ain't that little glorified snow globe that you play in up there in upstate New York. This is a big boy stadium. And I can assure you the short little 3.5 hour drive from Knoxville down to Atlanta is no sweat for Vol Nation. That thing's going to be packed full of Vol fans. They will be loud, probably drunk, and you might as well go ahead and learn the words to Rocky Top. That way you can sing along. because you're going to be hearing it all night long. And reason number 5, and maybe the most important reason on this list, is this team's pissed off. We lost the college football playoff game to Ohio State. Then we had the Nico fiasco that left a bad taste in pretty much everybody's mouth. And then our preseason ranking comes out, which, oh, by the way, just today we got picked to finish 9th in the SEC. This team's going to have a chip on its shoulders when it rolls into Atlanta. And I think Joey Aguilar has something to prove. A lot of people questioning and doubting, saying we're not going to be as good since we don't have Nico. Well, look, we won games in spite of Nico, okay? Not because of Nico. And 2 things I know about Joey Aguilar. One, he's not going to run out of bounds on 4th down with the clock winding down. And he wants to be here. So as far as I'm concerned, we've already upgraded at quarterback. So with all those things put together, Syracuse, I hope you bring a carrier with you to Atlanta, because you're going to need something to tote that big fat L back to Southeast Canada with you.